Welcome one and all to another edition of the Defo Show with Lubie here on the 5 Reasons Sports Network. Thank you to Water Cleanup of Florida. Are you a South Florida property owner with an insurance claim? You're frustrated. You're upset. You don't know what to do. Well, it's nice and simple. Water Cleanup of Florida will take care of the job for you. First of all, they have licensed contractors, fully insured, certified, that can go and assess the situation. That's the first thing. But most importantly, you don't have to get another contractor. They can take care of that issue, whether it be water from flood or just water damage, fire damage, mold. They will find it. They will eradicate it. And what's really cool about them is 24 hours a day, you can reach out to Water Cleanup of Florida. When disaster strikes, don't let it take you down. Don't let it stress you out. Just make a nice and simple call to Michael anytime on his personal cell, mind you, 954-579-0356. Just mention 5 Reasons or Lubie, and you'll get a free inspection during business hours, 954-579-0356, or visit them online, WCUFL.com. Find them on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter. Over 60 years of combined experience between Michael, Robert, and the entire team at Water Cleanup of Florida. When disaster strikes, no worries. Let Water Cleanup of Florida clean up your schmutz. Talking about schmutz, it had been schmutzy around the Miami Hurricanes football program for years. Well, Mario Cristobal, the higher-ups, sort of took care of that. They brought in Dan Radakovich, the former Clemson AD. They found some money somehow. I guess they had billionaires upon billionaires. And they brought in Mario Cristobal, who brought in one of the best staffs in college football. We had Tony Segreto on today on the Defo Show with Lubie here on the 5 Reasons Sports Network. We talked with Tony about old school, as we always do, Canes times. And we talked to him about what's going on with the Canes today and into the future. Today, Tony Segreto joins us, the Defo Show with Lubie on the 5 Reasons Sports Network.
Tony Segreto with us here. And it's funny, too, because it's the beginning. Tony, I wanted to touch on this because I don't know what your recollections are of this, but we're going to go real old school here. Because one of the big moments and the transformational moments in South Florida sports history came when the USFL was in existence. And Woody Weiser, who I guess was like a Coconut Grove developer or something, seemed like a pretty sophisticated and reasonably honorable businessman. I don't know. Maybe is he in prison now? I'm not sure whatever happened to Woody Weiser. I might have even passed away. And he lured Howard Schnellenberger to coach the potential would-be Miami entry in the USFL. And so Howard left the University of Miami. And, that opened the door for, a long series of historic runs by a variety of coaches, including what put Jimmy Johnson on the map more than his job at the University of Miami. He was still obscure there at Oklahoma State. And, this was an event that never took place that changed the course of history. Because I always thought that what if Howard had just stayed at the University of Miami? Would he have had like a Bear Bryant type of legacy, by being there all of those years? I don't know. Do you remember back to that? Because I remember going to a press conference at a building in Coconut Grove where they made the announcement that Howard was going to be the coach of the team. That never came about.
Yeah, no, I remember it like it was yesterday. And, it was an amazing change of history for Howard, too. I mean, think about Howard's legacy after that, that fell through. He went to the University of Oklahoma. That didn't work out. He went to Louisville, which did work out. It was an amazing run for him. I mean, there isn't a time where I'm not driving through Louisville and I pass that stadium, and the stadium that Howard built. And, after his passing, they gave him a full grand, send-off that was truly remarkable. And then to do that same thing at FAU, I just, his legacy is just, unmatched. And then you talk about Jimmy, and I'm going to go back to when FSU hired Mike Norvell, and I'm not really being sarcastic here, although it's going to probably come out that way. But Lubie was, how can that be? We don't know who Mike Norvell is, on and on and on. Well, I remember when Sam Jankovic brought Jimmy Johnson in, it was like, are you kidding me right now? We just lost Howard Schnellenberger, who's passing the ball all over the field. You know, he's got these speedy, amazing wide receivers. He's changed the entire outlook of our offense, where other schools can't keep up with us. And we're going to bring a guy in from basically the Big Eight at the time, and runs the football and runs the football and runs the football. How is this going to work? No one's heard of him. On and on and on. I don't care what Barry Switzer says. I don't care what Jerry Jones says. Yes, great player, all these things, and people are just bitching. And look at what happened. He not only maintained the level of the program, but took the program to yet another level, won national championships, and to this day is devoted to that university, where it's, that's, even though Jimmy won his Super Bowls with Dallas, I mean, he is still identified as BU with the man. So I think it's just great testimony to Jimmy, and rest his soul, Sam Jankovic, for having the vision to bring Jimmy in.
What was the name of that team going to be? It wasn't the Miami Sharks, because that was the team in Any Given Sunday that LT was on. What was it? What was the name of that USFL team going to be, Tony? Do you remember? I can't think of it.
No, I don't recall. Maybe Lubie can look it up. But I mean, that whole USFL, and remember Zonka and Kit went to the other league. Warfield went to the other league.
They went to the World Football League. They went to the World Football League, not the USFL.
Yeah, to the World. As I said, the other league, the World Football League that was trying to start up. It was just this whole thing of trying to start up new leagues and let's play the big money to lure the big names. I mean, when Zonka and Kit left, oh my Lord, and Warfield left, that was such a huge deal. Remember that? I mean, that was just as big as you can imagine, and that fell through. And and here we have, Zonka then going to the Giants, and that whole saga that happened there. But again, that you're to your point, the change of history with Jimmy, and then after Jimmy, Dennis Erickson. I mean, on and on. The coaches, as a result of Howard's one decision that made their name at the University of Miami, would not have happened had Howard not done that.
Yeah, you had Butch Davis, there, and then unfortunately the legacy stopped, with Larry Coker, who still, had enough talent on the team to nearly go unbeaten 2 straight years before they figured out that, maybe head coaching wasn't Larry's bag. Right? Nicest guy in the world, too. Looked a little bit like Mr. Magoo, Larry Coker, to me. But, no, that was interesting. And, I can't remember what the reason was, why the team never came into existence. And then Howard was just kind of floating around. And Jimmy, as I recall, that first season, the team didn't perform all that well either. I mean, they were like 8-5 or some non-distinguishable record like that. It didn't take off right away for Jimmy, but then he established that he was even wilder in some senses throwing the ball, especially in my favorite game, of course, was when he threw the ball up 55-3 over Notre Dame and was still throwing bombs. It was great. When Prestige went crazy.
Well, listen,
legendary stuff.
That first year, what was so tough for Jimmy was that when Sam Jankovic hired Jimmy, the understanding was that at least first year, because of how everything happened and how everything happened so quickly, Sam said to Jimmy, "You have to keep all of Howard's assistants."
Yeah.
Well, that did not go well. That did not go well at all. As you know as well as anyone, Defo, head coaches want their loyal buddies around them. They want people who are going to be loyal, who are good at what they do, and are not going to, cause problems. Well, that didn't happen. And that first year for Jimmy was miserable. And I could document, I'm not going to give names, I could document stories of coaches that just was difficult. And then after that first year, you go back, then you'll see what happened, how Jimmy brought in Butch Davis and all these, and Gary Stevens and all these other coaches.
Yeah.
And things,
Dave Wannstedt, one of the guys.
And things, his closest friend, Dave. And things flipped the anvil that was around Jimmy's neck the entire year, and trying to do his deal with Howard's coaches and Howard's players. It's hard enough to do it with the other coaches' players and a new coaching staff. Now you keep that old coaching staff around, and you've got players who are going, "What is this guy doing?" and complaining to the coaches they know. It just does not. It does not make good soup on the stove for sure, and it proved out that way.
Well, and Tony, we're talking about the good old days with the Canes. It's funny we got onto this topic because lately on Twitter, you've had a lot of excited Canes fans, and I think Canes fans should be excited. They've gone and spent money for the first time in 4 decades. They have brought in a staff that can rival any staff in the country. They're working on facilities. They're doing all the things they haven't done in the past, the things that Jimmy Johnson complained about all the way back in the freaking 80s. You're on the board. You're on the program. My contention I'm a Noel fan, but people don't realize, and Defo makes fun of me, but I had never gone to an FSU game until I went to FSU. I had gone to dozens of Canes games. Like, my grandfather went there. I had been going down to the campus every Saturday because my grandmother worked there my entire life. So I always had a soft spot for the Canes. And I always heard my dad and my grandfather bitch that they won, but there was always like this aura of sort of not going for it. And then we saw that hit the bottoms of the dregs in the last 20 years. Canes fans are really excited. You know what's going on more than anyone. I'm curious. Is this sustainable, what they're doing financially? Because right now they're spending as much as anyone in college football.
Yeah, and they're doing it the right way. They're doing it in a very mindful way. Mario is very mindful. He's doing a beautiful job of merging the past with the present. And the one thing he doesn't want to do is live in the past, but he wants to use the past as the foundation. Right? This is we're standing on these people's shoulders, right? And we have a legacy to live up to. We have a standard to live up to, and that standard we have to reset every day. And he is really about motivating his players, about using the power of the mind of his players. I know Jimmy was huge on that, absolutely huge. And I think that Mario and the staff that he's done and the money they're throwing at this, again, they're not just throwing money. Okay, you can do that. Schools can afford to do that. But this isn't about throwing money at anything. This is about taking the money that you have and being mindful with it and making smart decisions. And that's what Miami appears to have done so far. I mean, one of the things that Mario, I keep hearing over and over again, especially from some of the critical people that I speak with, is that they're just excited about this staff and how the staff is relating to the players. And again, you can be the greatest coach in the world and have the greatest theories in the world and schemes, but if you can't relate that to your players and apply that to the talent you have, those schemes and those theories are worthless. And the excitement is, as you mentioned, the staff, people are excited about it, and they're excited about how the staff is working with the team. And we're going to see a lot of this on Saturday with the spring game. And again, I think people have to keep in mind this is not a flip the switch and all of a sudden we're the number 1 team in the country again. It doesn't work that way. It would be nice, and who knows? But I think you need to be mindful again that this is I hate to keep using that word process because it goes back to what's going on in Alabama, but it's truly a process that Miami's going to go through, and a reset of culture that they're going to get right, and things are going to turn around, and we're going to be happy with what we see.
It's funny you mentioned the spring game because in years gone by, I was at this event in any number of broadcasting capacities. Sideline, they would televise the game. I remember being a sideline reporter
on television.
They would do the game on a radio. I think I was the PA announcer for it a few times, and it was amazing the pulse that was going along with inside the city for University of Miami football because it wasn't inappropriate to go ahead and pay this kind of attention to a spring football game here, but If you hadn't mentioned this, I would have no idea that it was taking place this Saturday. Tony Segreto, and unless they brought in like Colin Kaepernick to throw a couple of balls, just to show that he still had it for the NFL. This struck me while you were talking, Tony. Were you ever at the Orange Bowl bar? And is it still open? Because now, obviously, the Canes don't play there anymore. You do have Marlins baseball in that area. I mean, with the Orange Bowl bar, do you remember this place? And as I recall, it was always jammed, like before and after, and maybe even during Hurricane football games. The Orange Bowl bar, which looked like a real dump, and I can't say that I recall ever being in there, although I want to say that I might have been at one time.
I was in there a number of times. I really don't know if it's there. I know that another legendary bar that was around the area that was really more in Miami, downtown Miami, was Tobacco Road.
People went there. Monty Trainer, right? Wasn't that the guy, Monty Trainer?
Was it Monty Trainer? Still, that's in the Grove. Yeah, that's in the Grove, and that's where everybody would go after the game. And Monty's is still there. It's still in the Grove and still thriving. And God bless Monty Trainer, still one of the biggest supporters that the UM has had and continues to have. But yeah, I mean those were legendary haunts that carried the ghosts of all the Hurricanes that played before them, and I think that we have to look these things up. I don't even know. I don't know if it's still there. I with all the renovation going on in that area, my guess would be that it's not. But I would love to know if it's there because it was quite the place. Stories were told and lies were shared, and it was quite a place to go before and after a game. Great memory, Jeff.
You just pictured it, as one of those places, that just reeked of beer everywhere, and all of the people reeked of beer, and it was the insane crowd that was going to Hurricane football games, both coming and going. I want to say maybe it's got like a couple of the windows boarded up. I'm not sure. The Orange Bowl bar, I would imagine it's not exactly a hot spot because it's sort of out of the way, from the ballpark. You wouldn't be inclined to. I don't know if there's a lot of tailgating going on for Marlins baseball games. There aren't a lot of people at Marlins games. And the way it's going, Tony, I don't know. Have you caught any of this action so far this year with the Marlins and Don Mattingly? I think he's going to get kicked out of every game because there appears to be some kind of conspiracy to have the umpires just hose this team on a nightly basis. And they aren't that great to begin with. I mean, it's not like they're horrible, but, every night it's another screw job. Tony, have you seen any of this so far?
Yeah, no, yeah. I mean, I know that we're going to be talking about it soon, but all I'm thinking about is poor Mattingly. I mean, his blood pressure must be way out of control. And I'm thinking the Catholic Health Services better be nearby because this guy
he's going to have a stroke. Exactly.
He is going through it. And you're right. I mean, and you never want to say that an umpire or an official or a referee or some sort of whatever it is blowing a game for you, because you always think to yourself, and what you say to yourself and you say to your team is you had opportunities. This shouldn't have come down to this. But there are times when you just shake your head and go, what are these people seeing? What is it that I don't get? And to see Mattingly, every manager wants to show their team they're sticking up for him, but Mattingly's not like an Earl Weaver or a Chuck Tanner, guys like that who just went off for anything. Billy Martin. I mean, I was sitting on a Yankee bench during Billy Martin's era, and I would just listen to this man ride the umpires relentlessly for 9 innings. I mean, he would not stop. It was remarkable. And umpires, some would laugh it off, and some would come over and would say, "Shut the F up or we're throwing you out." And Billy would go, "Okay, try it." And he would just ride him even harder. I mean, it was incredible. And, and Mattingly isn't one of these guys. So when you get him to that level of rage, he's out there, you know that he feels a major injustice has been done.
Well, and they come right back the next night and hose him again. and people always say this, and it's been a conversation that's very common ever since the implementation of instant replay. It's like, why have replay if you're going to make calls like that?
Yeah, exactly.
Michael, you don't come to Las Vegas and talk to a man like Mo Green like that, Michael. I mean, you watch this replay, and it appears to everybody, the announcers, the players, everybody, that this guy is out at second base, that he had been picked off. He slides in there. Oh, no, he was stealing a base. Throw is high. He's off the bag, both his hand and his foot, as the tag is on him. And they look at the replay, and they decide he's safe anyway.
Yeah, what the hell?
And Mattingly was incredulous. And then, of course, the guy ends up scoring a winning run in the ninth inning, where there would have been 2 outs, nobody on. And the entire, picture and spectrum dynamic of the ball game would have changed. And you're in disbelief that this call could possibly stand. I mean, we see it in the NFL. And so, it's odd that, 2 nights in a row, first you on balls and strikes, and then on a play that was reviewed by whoever reviews this, some committee in New York, right? Like Harry Wendelstadt or something is looking at this film in New York. And, you were looking at the guy, the tag's on him, nothing's on the bag, and they call the guy safe anyway. So, a rough start. But I don't know. You're not a conspiracy theorist. It does seem like there's a movement afoot to sabotage the Marlins' early season results. That I don't know if it's tied to gamblers in Russia or whatever, but somehow they seem to be getting screwed night after night.
The drive for 65, I guess they're aware of it. Is that what we're doing?
It's like 75 though this year. There are more optimistic expectations for the Marlins this year. I mean, they do have, potentially some decent pitching. This guy struck out 12 guys. He's a local kid, right?
Luzardo. Yep, the guy from the A's.
I mean, he grew up in like Hialeah or something.
Yeah, Hialeah, yep. So we got into old school Canes with Defo and Tony and myself a little bit, and then I made sure to move it into new school. I'm hearing a lot of excitement. Look, I'm a Knoll, and I am a little frustrated, and I find some Canes fans obnoxious because, again, you've been down for so long. Don't you want to see the winning before you just are bragging? But I have not said one time that I don't think they shouldn't be excited. I mean, going and bringing in Cristobal when I didn't think it could happen, him putting together a great staff when I didn't think it could happen, they've already proved me wrong. And I think it should be a very exciting time for Canes fans. My curiosity is, can they do it long-term? Tony is on the board. Tony talks to a lot of people. And he says, yeah, the moves are splashy, but what Cristobal is trying to do is build something that's sustainable. He wouldn't have come here if it wasn't sustainable. I have my doubts, since we haven't seen them spend money ever, to just all of a sudden be spending money with the big boys. Seems a little far-fetched, but Cristobal wouldn't have come in without any idea, without a plan. And so far, he's put a plan into action, and Tony thinks that Cristobal is using the foundation of the past to not repeat it, but use it to build a foundation for the present and have a very bright future. So we'll definitely talk a lot more Canes as the season comes along. The NBA playoffs, the Miami Heat sitting there in the one spot. It seems to have worked out where they have a nice little route ahead of them. They don't face the Nets, as the Nets will take on the Boston Celtics in the first round. The rest of the play-in games happen tonight and Friday, and that is where the Heat will find their combatant in the first round of the NBA playoffs. The Florida Panthers had another big win last night. They are now tied with the Colorado Avalanche for the number one point total in all of the NHL. And the Miami Marlins take it on the chin yet again. 1-4 start. The pitching has been phenomenal. The hitting has not been good, which has been their issue for years. Yeah, they got rid of all their bats. They now have strong pitching, and they can't hit. So they have the reverse issue and are still a bad team. We'll see if they figure things out. Of course, thank you to Texas Roadhouse Catholic Health Services for sponsoring Tony Segreto, Kicking It Old School. Thank you for listening to the Defo Show with Lubie right here on the 5 Reasons Sports Network.
Hey, folks, Tony Segreto here. Let me ask you a question. What do you look for when you go out to eat? Good food, obviously, friendly atmosphere, not too loud, but good energy, reasonable prices, and a place where you feel comfortable. All those ingredients, no pun meant there, are hard to find unless you're talking about the Texas Roadhouse. You see, they encompass all of those attributes. Really, really good food, amazing atmosphere, good for a family, good for a date, or just a night out for yourself, and prices that will make you extremely happy. Their ribs, unmatched. Steaks, hand-cut every day. Everything, and I mean everything, is made on site, including their incredible bread. It's the one day, folks, that you can forget about low-carb diets. Trust me when I tell you, Texas Roadhouse, your restaurant, your destination when you say, where should we go and eat tonight?
Recently, we realized it's not just hurricane season that can hurt us. Any time of year, things can happen to your home or business. And the insurance company can be your friend, but they also can be your enemy. Horizon Public Adjusters, Justina Testa, are here for you to help this process go so much easier. Before you call the insurance company, call Horizon Public Adjusters and Justina Testa at 954-809-8752. Would you go into court without an attorney? So why would you go up against an insurance company without Horizon Public Adjusters and Justina Testa? 7 to 10 times more money recovered with a public adjuster than if you went on your own. If there's no recovery, there's no fee. Give them a call at 954-809-8752. Why go up against insurance companies alone when you can have Horizon Public Adjusters and Justina Testa on your side?